Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Drama emerging again on this snaking drama. Just a couple of days ago, Scrappy joined, it seems, the Gentleman's Agreement chat and helped put into place the one-pump snaking rule, which has now caused chaos over the last few hours. Scrappy himself, it seems, maybe getting caught out by this on Hacienda. By the old rules, this seems to be clean. By the new rules, it's a red card according to Zoom. Drama on the day everywhere. Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. We will begin as follows. Talking about the prize pool for season, first of all, I thought it was interesting really to look at this really from aBeZy Mack, looking at the number of dollars that have been given out in prize pool over the last few years. I don't know if you guys really think that this matters. It is a question for the community. Does anyone really care? Obviously the players care, but not including EWC, last year's prize pool was significantly reduced on what we have previously had. But to be fair, the prize pools for seasons like BO3, Infinite Warfare, were not as high as they were in the early days of the CDL. It has gone down basically every single year, and maybe will continue to do so this year. Does it really matter? Okay, it matters for the pros, but it is indicative maybe of a wider problem, or maybe a wider solution in terms of the way the Call of Duty League might need to move. This is notable. Falcons, we saw them the other day. They had dropped Wixel, it seems, from their starting roster. He was out of there. They'd brought in King, crucially not King a body, it's worthy to note, but no, King. So the roster they were scrimming OpTic with was King, Xnid, Roxas, and of course Doom, who they've also got on the roster as well. But Glowfrosty, who's been around for a while, he is not Saudi Arabian born, and he has been on their academy roster since they put Kicks. Obviously, Kicks sat to the bench. He's gone back to, well, Saudi Arabia for personal reasons. And he tweeted out here that he's installing the Esports player, which maybe implies that he might well be in that starting team very shortly indeed. Before we get to the matches, though, this was a big confirmation yesterday on the state of the league and what's changing going forward. They say 1,000 likes, and it's kind of, you know, wow, has the league fallen this far that 1,000 likes is like a serious challenge? But whatever, they were going to announce it regardless. And the announcement was as follows. Big update on Major 4. We didn't know where Major 4 was. The rumor was Chicago. I would have loved an event in Chicago. I've never been to that city. I would have liked to go, but it doesn't look like it's going to be happening for the CDL anyway this year. There were rumours about that potentially because Gentle Mates were looking to get involved and run it. Maybe if they were going to relocate to Chicago. That was the rumour anyway. Who knows if it's true. The reality is they're not doing it in Chicago. They're doing it in Dallas. Another Dallas event. But there are some positives here. Major 2, Major 3 and Major 4 are all going to have Challengers components. We saw that OpTic said for Major 2, we're not doing it. We're not, you know, the CDL aren't going to budget for it. Falcon said, hey, we'll pay for it. That seems to be what's happening, and every Challenger's LAN has a $100,000 prize pool. So to be fair, for all the drama with the CDL and Hex and everything that was happening with the Challenger's LAN at OpTic's Major, it's not like the CDL aren't putting up a big prize pool. They are. But of course, there was talk about how much they're going to subsidize the event costs, this type of stuff. Maybe there's a better way to distribute that money, I think one might argue. But the major will be hosted at DreamHack Dallas. This, I think, is actually a really cool step for the league here, stepping back towards external tournament organisers. This, I think, is a sign of things to come, because I've never been to a DreamHack. There's usually loads of things that happen at a DreamHack. I think you can get tickets now to the DreamHack, but to get access to the major at the DreamHack, there'll be an add-on. I think that you'll have to pay extra closer to the time. But this is the plan. It's going to be in Dallas again, as is Major 2, but it's not OpTic hosted. It's hosted by a third-party tournament organizer. Now, this is always how it used to be in COD, and frankly, in most esports for the history of esports. You guys, I'm sure, may well remember the glory days of COD, when it used to be stuff like MLG, UMG, Gfinity. They'd run the tournaments, not the league themselves. I think this is a positive step. It's what Hastro and even Hex and others have been calling for too. I think Hex has, I imagine that's Hex's opinion. I'm not sure I've heard him explicitly say it, but definitely moving back towards a more open circuit style system where third-party organisers can run the events just makes way too much sense. And proper esports like Counter-Strike, this is what they do. So, you know, and that is, of all the esports out there, CS is the model I think that you've got to look at as an esport and say, okay, in an ideal world, that's how we would operate, I think, anyway. That's what they're going to do. And we've got Challengers tourneys as well. This is pretty cool. Worthy to note as well that the two teams in the final of the Challengers Open at DreamHack Dallas will automatically qualify for the Challengers Finals, and the winner is going to earn a spot at the World Cup. So that's a pretty big deal, actually, because this year, officially, the CDL are partnering with the World Cup. So it's a pretty big addition, really, to say that it's guaranteed qualification spots for the team that wins of course, the DreamHack Challengers side in Dallas. So, yeah, fascinating stuff. I think it's pretty exciting as well. It must be said, though, that we have one event in Madrid, we have 2 events in Dallas, 1 in Miami, and then Champs is going to be Ultra, again, in Toronto, we think. So it's basically 3 orgs out of the 12 that are doing anything, and it's understandable why. This is frankly why we need the likes of DreamHack stepping in, because unfortunately, as much as I'd love other teams to host events, they don't find it financially feasible. Tournament organisers that actually do this, they can make it work, especially if they do loads of other things at the venue at the same time, which is what DreamHack tends to do. So this is the way we're going. Whether it's good or bad, I don't know. What it is probably more sustainable, which is maybe what matters at the end of the day. Of course, Major 2 is as follows. I'm pretty sure tickets are on sale for OpTic's Major as of today. But let's talk about the games. Very interesting results this evening. We'll talk about FaZe versus Boston tomorrow. But Surge versus Ravens. This was a series, if you'd have told me the Ravens in this series won both of the hardpoints and they lost the series, I'd have told you were insane. I mean, we saw it earlier today. I predicted that Ravens would win 3-1, winning the 4th hardpoint, and I thought that was a pretty good prediction with the way this series looked. But as it turned out, no, because Ravens actually did win both hardpoints, but they lost all the other maps. They lost the Search, they lost the Control, then they did win the Game 4. I mean, it was a great series here from Gwinn. Gwinn was actually unbelievable, the series, but I think it did expose a number of the issues with the Ravens. Like, watching them from the start of the season, they've obviously shown a lot of promise, but many of their series were Game 5 wins, relying a lot on their search and destroy. That's not always going to be super sustainable, and even from the early days, we were hearing rumours that their scrims in hardpoint were not looking especially good. Vivid individually has not been good, and I'm not necessarily saying that's his fault. At the end of the day, he is on a roll that doesn't really suit him. Slasher, of course, is the AR, but I mean, even arguably, Slasher is sometimes flexing. He seems to be playing at a faster pace than Vivid sometimes. Vivid's kind of almost on the main AR. I mean, look at the way that Vivid is playing. That's not the way that Vivid should be playing. But you've got Gwinn, a great SMG, and TJ playing well this year. Vivid's kind of stuck in a position that doesn't really suit him, you know? And even though they do win both of the hardpoints in this series against a Surge team, which I'm also not impressed by, it, you know, just didn't work out in the end, because eventually I guess they were going to start to lose some search and destroys, and fraudulent status might now be official. Surge obviously deserve credit for the way they won both of these search and destroys. Hicksy made a massive play in the final round here as well to get the guys over the line. But, you know, this 2-piece on Slasher and Vivid, that was enough to secure the win in the round 11. 0-4 with a banger series as well. One of the first we've seen from him because, you know, looking at this team, I wasn't a big fan of the Hicksy for Huke change. I like Hicksy, but, you know, I wasn't sure that was the way to go. Nastie for aBeZy, I totally get it. I rate Nastie as a pretty good player, but I've just been a bit confused on some level why 0-4 and Abuzah were looking very lackluster this year, and I'm still not massively impressed by them in this series, but it is worth noting. Now, TJ believes there might be something else going on. He reckons Sound EQ is going on. He says Dirty Neslo winning the 2-3-5, play Miami tomorrow, but EQ Beast, he says, is saying that they're using Sound EQ. They're hearing everything in Search and Destroy that they shouldn't be hearing. Beans thought this is pretty funny. Nastie says, no one has EQ on, you are blasted. So, yeah, good bit of drama here, because last year, not the same Surge team, but Surge were getting, you know, everything under the sun was getting called out about Surge breaking all the GAs. Now it's happening again, and, I mean, look, what do you think about this? If Nastie's going to say emphatically no one's using it, I'm inclined to believe he's probably telling the truth. But, you know, is TJ losing the plot? Of Ravens mentally chalked after what's happened over the last couple of days? I don't know. The reality is that they've probably been working hard on their hard points, but they let their Search and Destroy slip today, and that was enough to lose a Game 5 series to a Surge team they probably don't want to be losing to. But when you look at the overall numbers here, Vivid with the 0.8, I mean, Gwinn had a 1.4 today for the loss. Kind of unacceptable, really. And if Gwynn's doing that, there's only so many kills to go around, but the questions on Vivid and whether, you know, someone like Yoda King could be a good option there to replace him, that's something to think about. But the other series, man, this one was dramatic in many respects. Thieves versus Heretics. This is funny. I'm imagining a scrim here that was played between Dashy and the Ravens guys, actually. Dashy sees TJ, and he hits one snake, and he thinks, is TJ going to snake me back? And then they both start snaking each other for about 20 seconds and, well, looks like a blacklist might be going through quickly. So, look, snaking's a big talking point. It always has been. Maybe it always will be unless the developers want to stop it. This I thought was pretty good. And, of course, Dashy wins the gunfight in the end as well. Scrap on the vault, frying. And it's interesting with Scrappy because it's not like the AR is incapable of dropping good numbers. It is possible to do so. The problem is that on some maps, Scrappy just, isn't having a good time. And Hacienda is definitely one of those. But at game one, I mean, look, Thieves should be heavy favourites this series. Heretics are very inconsistent, and, Thieves should be coming in and handling business here. But it's never an easy series against Miami, I will say. And even this year, the middle or lower of the pack teams, they are more competent rosters than we have previously seen. And series like this are still interesting. I think, Thieves are always going to be sizable favourites, but these series are still interesting to watch, and maybe Thieves just aren't that good. That may be your takeaway as well, especially because Heretics slammed them on the Protocol Search and Destroy. Of course, the game mode where Miami were the absolute worst of all time right at the start of the season. They've turned that around, but then Game 5 happened, which of course was a different story. Now, this was the drama on the Hacienda. Thieves end up winning this map, but this was the moment. We saw the other day, Scrappy last weekend's snaking against the Thieves. Well, they think he popped 3 pumps. They banned him for a day of scrims with OpTic Texas, and there was a lot of drama whether that was fair or whether it wasn't. Scrappy was in the GA chat the other day. He's made his thoughts known. He was one of those, it seems, that voted unanimously in favour of making it a 1-pump rule. Now, I get why they do this. It's understandable to say, all right, let's take all the grey area out of it, any more than 1 pump and you're cooked. The problem is, the area is super grey, regardless of making it a 1 pump. And the reason why is because if you watch Scrappy's POV here, like he goes prone, he stands up again. So the thing is with this, is he's going prone and standing up again. So is this snaking or not? Because typically when you snake, you just about go prone and then you sprint forwards, and you do so repeatedly to, take gunfights that you really shouldn't be able to take. In this case, Scrap's gone prone, he's stood up again, he's taken a fight, and then, he's turned around, he's gone prone, he stayed prone anyway, and he's stood up again, and he's, taken another fight. So, on some level, you might say, well, is there really anything in this? The problem, I guess, comes down to the fact that if you look at it again from Scrappy's point of view, it's 1 pump and then it's 2 pumps, right? Kind of. I mean, it's a little bit of a delay between the first and the seconds, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like, you could definitely look at that and argue. By the old rules, this is clean no matter what, but by the new rules, with the 2 pump being now bans, this seems to potentially be a problem. So Zuma comes out straight away and hits him with a red card here. So, look, I don't know what the conclusion is going to be. Are we going to see these guys get blacklisted? Maybe the GA chat is going to be discussing it. Octane says, you know, you serious, Scrappy? And Dashy's like, dirty team, right? So calling him out after everything that's happened there. And, you know, then obviously he follows up as well. Octane, of course, gives his thoughts from the Los Angeles Thieves perspective. And, I mean, this is pretty insane clip. Scrappy getting absolutely farmed again here on Hacienda. Like, I mean, Redcore just completely destroys him. Scrap just can't do anything, right? He's trying to get a kill, and Redcore just snaps on him, and Scrap's like, oh my god, can't believe I lost that gunfight. In the end, though, Thieves got the job done. Scrappy had a horrific Hacienda again, and he ends up going like basically double negative in this map again, which was just pretty absurd given that he did so the other day. HyDra had a great map, but it wasn't enough. Heretics win it, but in the end, in game 5, there was really no answer from Miami. So it was kind of an expected end to the series, really. But Thieves get the job done. They get their first win of 2025. Good result for those guys. And these are the numbers at the end of the day. Scrappy, actually, with a banger series, 1.30. But the Hacienda was, again, an absolute disaster class. So lots to say from multiple angles today. The big takeaway is, was that a snake from Scrap? Should there be repercussions? Are they going to lose scrims going into the major? The issue is, nobody really scrims before flying to the major. So I don't exactly know what that'll even look like if there is to potentially be a punishment coming into play. So hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.